Welcome to Bite Me, a Truthful Groomer podcast, the only podcast where we dismantle the dogma that the patriarchy taught us and confront uncomfortable truths for a better tomorrow. I'm Brooke, your host, the Truthful Groomer. Last episode, we talked a little bit about my personal situation and why I believe that the politicians and that the people in power continue to be in power. They have control over us because they know what our freedom means to us, and that is why the prison system, incarceration nation, is a multi-trillion-dollar entity. So firstly, I want to thank everybody for letting me be vulnerable with them in the last podcast, and I also want to say that I always think it's so important for us to share our honesty here. Like, you are who you are, and things have happened in your life, and that's okay. I'm never going to judge you. We're learning societal norms that, people make mistakes. It does not mean that they are to be shunned from society, and that's something we're going to need going forward if we are going to act in the masses against the powers that be. I don't know that I ever want to be responsible for causing a revolution. Not that I ever could. I am but one person. I'm just saying, when we come together without judgments. When we come together without fear. When we come together under the understanding that you have a situation, I have a situation, you have a struggle, I have a struggle. Our struggles are different, but we all want the same thing. And so this podcast is a place of no judgment. This podcast is a place of safety, as is the website. And I would hope that you guys are all aware of that, going forward. I'd like to think that my viewers are all humanitarians and activists like I am. I would consider myself to be. But in case you aren't, just so you know that this is a place where we disclose things honestly with no fear. Now, when we talk about honesty in regards to, the last episode was about control and a little bit about the prison system, which we can elaborate more on in a future episode. But for now, when we talk about honesty is so important here because we're not getting it from other places. In America, they would have you gaslit to believe that everything is honest here, everything is true here, and this is the way it is, and this is how it will always be. But that's not really so. What's happening here is that we are being fed constant lies about the government, constant lies about societal norms, constant lies about religion, constant lies about who's making the money here. We need to start dispelling some of this and really calling out the lies that are going on. Because why shouldn't we be an honest society? Why shouldn't we say, okay, who's getting this money? These people are getting these money. That makes sense. Why is this person in this position of power? Oh, they have these credentials. That makes sense. We need to start unraveling and bringing it back to we need to ask for real truths from politicians. We need to ask for real honest comments when they're asked questions. When we saw President Trump in office, that's all we saw is lie after lie after lie and baseless claim. And his base is primarily uneducated white males. And we'll talk about education in the next episode. But for this one, we're going to talk about how important it is to just tell the truth. I think every day we wake up and we're cogs in this machine and we just think to ourselves, oh, okay, well, this is the way it is. And this is America. And this is how I live my life. And that's okay. Is that an honest way to be with ourselves? Is it okay here? It's not. Wake up and ask yourself, why would I want it different? What needs change here? How am I going to start to enlist that? There isn't such a thing as one of us can make a change. But it's more so in groups. All your little actions, you really have to ask yourself each day with each of your actions, what am I putting out into the world with this action? I'm not saying if you're buying a toothbrush at the dollar store, yeah, maybe. Because then we talk about, climate change and global warming. I want to get into too many things here, but every action that you make has an equal and opposite reaction, So you have to really think about what somebody's putting into your life and what you're putting into theirs. When we're sitting there watching the news, what are we really watching? When we're accepting the way that the government is treating us and that's normalized, what are we really saying to ourselves? What are we saying to our children? You need to be honest with yourself about the kind of life you're living and what you want to be doing. And you need to be honest with yourself with what kind of information you want to take in and what kind of information you want to put out. You need to be honest with other people with who you are. This 9-to-5 job thing where we go and we put on a face for our employers for slave wages and then come home and be somebody else, and we're not even allowed to have our personal lives. That's horseshit. Like, you need to live your life the way you're meant to live it. I talked about this in one of the first episodes. People told me to keep the dog grooming, separate from who I am on here as an individual. And I said, I'm not going to do that, because if my clients find out that I'm doing this online and that causes them to not want me to wash or bathe or trim their dog, so be it. I probably don't want that type of client anyways. Like, why would my opinions about what goes on here on earth affect my ability to groom your dog? And if you're that concerned that my opinions would affect that, or that I'm somebody that you don't want to pay because I have opinions opposite to yours, yeah, maybe you should take your dog somewhere else. But I don't ever regret it that I'm a blue girl in a red state and I talk about those things, because if people have a problem with that, if people have a problem with that and I'm editing my personality based on that, then I'm not being true to myself. I don't want to wake up as a prisoner in my own body every day. I don't want to die one day and think to myself, oh, I was just a prisoner in this body and I never did anything. Like, you have to authentically be you. Authentically be you. That confidence shit is a sham. That's a societal constructive sham, just like social gender constructs. Like, wake up. If you have a problem with what's going on and you want to tell your family that, tell your family that. Wake up, and if you have a problem with what's going on in your city, say, hey, it's fucked up here. Go to a council meeting and say, it's messed up here. I have a problem with this. Like, live your truth, speak your truth, have your own little protest, celebrate your life as it is, have your own little parade. But the reason that these things keep going on in society is because we don't say anything, because we're not even being honest with ourselves about how fucked up it is, the way that we're living in 2020. The planet's burning, politicians have left us for dead, and there's still systemic oppression going on. Like, why are we still living this way? Why has there not been a female president yet? Why? Like, be honest with yourself and be honest with other people and ask the hard question and ask for an honest answer and response. That's not too much to ask of people. Like, gaslighting exists. Gaslighting is a form of letting, that person's lying to you and you let them. That is gaslighting. Gaslighting is allowing yourself to be lied to and believing a lie that someone told you, knowing that it was a lie. That's how people lose their minds. It is, honestly. That's why the boomers are all so messed up, Like, they really have bought into this. I think that the wars happened, and they told themselves that we're really fighting for something here, even though the only thing that white culture has ever attributed to anything is systemic oppression. Like, that oppression is white culture. So I think that they told themselves, we're really fighting for something here. We're really fighting for a greater purpose. We're really fighting for the United States, and that's the greatest country in the world. And then that's what they told generations for eons to come, and fight in the name of your Jesus, Lord, Savior, and all of that stuff. They believed they were fighting for a greater purpose, but all they really did was lie to themselves and each other. And now we're in this huge mess where we are not the greatest country in the world. We are not the greatest people in the world. In fact, we're a laughingstock, and all of us are unhappy. Don't live your life unhappy. Just be honest. Just be who you are. Be authentically you. Tying up the podcast as I always do, I recommend you to go over to the website, the Truthful Groomer website, where you can have discussions in our discussion forums. You can contact me if you like. You can also join the Patreon group. That's a private Facebook group membership where we share our stories personally, like I did in the last episode. It is a place free of judgment, things like that. I also give you Truthful Groomer life hacks to help you save, money in your life, and you're going to need to right now with everything that's going on. And you can also check out the merch store if you want. There's some cool shirts on there, I'm not going to lie. One of them says, carry yourself with the confidence of a mediocre white male. Come on, that's funny. So as always, I'm really grateful to be on this journey with you guys, and I'm grateful to have you guys on this journey with me. I don't know why people listen to me, but they do. So I guess I'll keep talking until I feel like shutting up, which is usually never. So thanks, and we'll see you next time, I hope.